Elon Musk, shocked to see his son with a black, homeless milionario at the door. Jack Turner slammed his car door, keys jangling in his fist as he stormed up the steps to his mansion. The night was unusually still, but his gut twisted with unease. What he saw next stopped him cold. His son, Liam, standing by the front door, deep in conversation with a man who looked like he had crawled out of a nightmare. The man's clothes hung in tatters. His beard was wild. His eyes sharp but tired, like someone who'd seen hell more times than luck. Dirt smeared his face, yet something about him didn't fit the typical story. Jack's breath hitched, chest tightening. Liam, defiant as ever, was nodding respectfully, leaning in like this stranger was telling him the universe's secrets. "Who the hell is this?" Jack barked, voice rough from the day's fight with his board and the press. The man looked up slowly, unblinking. "Name's Marcus. Used to be, well, things you might find hard to believe. I was a billionaire once. High towers, fast cars, the kind of life your dad chases every day." Jack's jaw dropped. His son? Talking to a homeless man who claimed he had lived in the world Jack dreamed of, but never reached? The tension in the air cracked like thunder. The streetlight caught Marcus's gaze, revealing old scars beneath that grime. Liam's face was serious, no trace of mockery. He talks about truth, about what's real behind all the shiny stuff. His voice was low, a whisper that somehow carried more weight than Jack's booming one. Jack took a step forward, heart pounding. Inside, a war raged. Should he shut this down? Drag Liam inside? Protect him from the lies, the rumors, the insecurities? Or was there something raw here? Something his son needed that Jack couldn't provide with all his money and power? Marcus started to share tales, not of yachts or private jets, but of loneliness, betrayals, and finding himself in the wreckage of his riches. Stories that hit Liam's soul like lightning, their words creating a strange, fragile bridge between two broken worlds. Jack's phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from furious board members, whispers from reporters smelling scandal. What was he supposed to do? He was a titan of industry, a symbol of success. Yet here he was, standing frozen, caught between judgment and understanding. Then came the twist. The kind of event Jack thrived in, but now it felt like a trap, a challenge, a test of what really mattered. As Jack wrestled with his swirling doubts, a shadow from Marcus's past crept closer to the surface. Voices carried from a nearby alley, sharp accusations, whispered secrets that could rip apart reputations. The name drop was chilling. It tied Marcus to a scandal that could muddle Jack's family name forever. Jack's hands trembled. His mind raced. Could this homeless man be more dangerous than anyone imagined? Or was he the unexpected mirror Jack needed to see his own truths? Night swallowed the street. As Jack lingered by the door, the question burning hotter than ever. What lies beneath the surface? And how much is he willing to lose to uncover it? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Jack stood rooted at the door, heart hammering in his chest. Marcus's words hung heavy in the air, weaving a tension that threatened to snap. Outside, the street paused, holding its dot. Do you really believe him? Jack's voice trembled, the weight of the world crashing down. Liam met his gaze, determined, wide-eyed, caught between his father's ambition and this man's tragic allure. Before he could pull Liam back, a sudden sound shattered the stillness. A woman's scream echoed from the alley, sharp and desperate. Jack's heart lurched. He turned instinctively, fear jolting through him. "Stay here!" he shouted. But Liam was already moving, drawn to the commotion, like a moth to flame. "Liam!" Jack lunged forward, desperation clawing at him as he followed his son toward the alley's mouth. They burst into the shadows, where the flickering light barely illuminated a scene straight out of a nightmare. A woman struggled against two men pushing her against a wall. Her hair was a mess, and tears streamed down her face. The men's faces twisted with anger, their grip tightening as they yelled incoherently. "Get away from her!" Jack shouted, stepping forward. His body surged with adrenaline. His hands clenched into fists, ready to fight. But before he could take another step, Marcus was there, faster than anyone could react. He charged past Jack, screaming, "No! Leave her alone!" Jack froze, shock paralyzing him. Was this the same man who said he had lost everything? But in that moment, Marcus was alive with purpose. He sprang forward, shoving one of the men away from the woman. Everything unfolded in seconds. The man stumbled, lost his balance, and crashed into a dumpster with a hollow thud. The second man swung at Marcus, but he ducked, moving with a fluidity that took Jack off guard. And in that split second, another figure emerged from the shadows, cold and imposing. A tall man with a scar twisting across his face stepped into the light. His eyes glinted with malice. He crossed his arms, watching the chaos unfold with a smirk. "Marcus!" he called out, voice smooth as silk. "Didn't expect to find you playing hero tonight." Jack's gut twisted as recognition hit him like a jolt. This was the man associated with the scandal Marcus had been tied to, a rumor that once echoed through high society, a whisper that had toppled power towers, the face of betrayal. "Get out of here, Vincent!" Marcus shouted, panic flashing across his features as a new wave of fear surged through him. "Why would I?" Vincent laughed, leaning against the wall. "Ha ha, this is too rich. Look at you, in your ragged clothes, still clinging to dreams you can't afford. I should have known you'd slink back to where you began. So desperate to rescue little lost souls, right?" Marcus's fists clenched, his breath rapid. The woman took advantage of the moment, scrambling away and hiding behind Jack. Fear radiated off her. Jack felt it too, overwhelming, like a dark cloud suffocating him. "Liam, get back," he barked. But Liam remained, eyes locked on the rising tension between the men. "What's going on?" Liam whispered, moving closer, curiosity shadowing his adolescent defiance. "It's not safe!" Jack cried, lunging toward his son. But it was too late. Vincent's eyes flicked to Liam, registering the son of the man who once ruled the boardroom. "Oh, this is perfect," he said, grinning maliciously. "Looks like this little charity case isn't just any loser, after all. We're all tangled up, aren't we?" Sudden clarity hit Jack hard as the threads of their lives intertwined in ways he couldn't fathom. The air grew thick with danger, emotions crackling like electricity. "What do you mean?" Jack found himself asking, dread pooling at the pit of his stomach. Then it happened. Marcus, billionaire turned homeless, looked at Jack and Liam, his eyes wide with horror. "I didn't want you to find out like this." And then silence wrapped around them, leaving Jack's heart pounding, questions swirling. What did Marcus know? What secret was about to unravel? Just as Jack opened his mouth, ready to demand answers, a siren wailed in the distance, breaking the suffocating tension, echoing through the alley like a death knell. How deep did this abandonment run? What lay beneath their surfaces? Jack stood trembling, the real nightmare just beginning. Jack stood there, heart racing, doubt swirling like a storm. The invitation Marcus held felt heavy in the air, yet his attention wavered, fixated on the darkness creeping from the alleyway. Shadows shifted, voices raised, and then a soft gasp echoed from behind him. "Dad, look!" Liam shouted, eyes wide. Before Jack could turn, a sharp crack shattered the night. A gunshot. The sound drummed in Jack's ears as he spun around, panic gripping him. Liam yanked on his arm, pulling him back toward the door. Jack's instincts kicked in, every fatherly instinct screaming to protect his son. Then chaos unfolded. From the darkness of the alley, a figure lunged forward. It was another man, scruffy, clad in torn clothes, eyes wild with desperation. "You've got to help me!" he pleaded, voice cracking. "They're coming for him!" Jack felt the weight of those words seep into his bones like ice. He glanced at Marcus, who stood frozen, his expression a mix of shock and recognition. "Tarek?" Marcus's voice trembled. The newcomer staggered closer, breathing hard. "Marcus, you need to remember, it's about your past. They know you're here." Liam echoed Jack's bewilderment. "What are you talking about?" Before Marcus could reply, the echo of tires screeching filled the air. A black SUV skidded to a stop at the curb, headlights cutting through the night like blades. Jack felt a surge of panic. They had to get inside. They had to close the door. Marcus suddenly snapped into action. "Get inside, now!" He shoved Jack and Liam toward the entrance, moving with a fierce urgency Jack hadn't seen from him before. But just as Jack stepped over the threshold, a voice boomed from the SUV. "Marcus, get back here! You can't run from your past!" Jack's heart sank. He turned to see a man in a tailored suit stepping out, flanked by two thuggish figures, each looking ready for violence. The suited man smirked, eyes glinting with malice. "Did you really think you could hide? You owe us, Marcus. Pay up, or the kid pays for your mistakes." Liam's face paled, and Jack felt that tightness in his chest twist harder. The air grew thick with tension. This was no longer just a chance encounter. It was a reckoning. He glanced at Marcus, seeing a flicker of fear mixed with shame. This wasn't just a homeless man. He was part of something darker. Something that would rip the safe veneer of Jack's world apart. "Stay back!" Jack shouted, stepping forward instinctively, wanting to shield his son. "You don't want to do this." "Don't I?" The man smirked, eyes roving over Jack with contempt. "Too bad your money can't buy you a way out of this one. We all know the truth is always waiting, and it's coming for you, Jack." A fissure opened in Jack's world, one filled with unimaginable secrets and betrayal. The night felt colder, as if the darkness itself was pulling at him, whispering the truths he had ignored. Marcus's life had cracked open, like the secrets that were now threatening Jack's own. Suddenly, the thuggish men moved as one. But before they could make any advances, an unexpected voice rang out from within the house. "What's going on out there?" It was Marie, Jack's wife. The sound of her voice pierced through the chaos, pulling threads of reality back together, tugging Jack away from the edge of madness. He turned, met her questioning gaze, but in that instant he saw something shift in Marcus's eyes. An awful realization mingled with guilt. What was happening? Jack felt the ground beneath him trembling with unsaid truths, secret, and how much was he willing to lose to discover it? And just like that, the night swallowed every answer. Jack stood there, heart racing, doubts swirling like a storm. The tension was sharp enough to cut. Everyone holding their breath as Marie stepped into the fray, confusion etched on her face. The moment felt suspended, straddling a precipice. "Jack, what's happening?" she asked, glancing between the men outside and her husband. Her voice held a tremor, a worry in her eyes, igniting an urgency deep within him, like a flame catching fire. Vincent laughed, smug and cruel. "Looks like your little family is mixed up in a real mess, Marie." This guy's past is coming back to haunt him, and you might want to pay attention. "What are you talking about?" Marie's voice shook, stepping closer to Jack. He felt her fear wrap around him like a cloak. He wanted to shield her from this nightmare, but the stakes were rising, and it was no longer just his world on the line. Before Vincent could reply, a sudden explosion of noise shattered the night. A loud bang echoing from the alley, like thunder splitting the air. The two men who had threatened the woman turned, fear flashing in their eyes as if the darkness itself had come alive. "Run!" Marcus shouted, voice cutting through the chaos. But it was too late. The men stumbled backward, casting shadows that twisted against the alley walls, revealing something deeper and darker behind their fear. Then, everything blurred. Gunfire rang out, sharp and piercing. Jack instinctively pushed Liam behind him, his body a shield, as chaos erupted in dizzying waves. The world around him spun like a cyclone, screams intermingling with muffled voices. The flash of light from the gun firing, like lightning illuminating the truth. When the gunman fell to the ground, everything frozen. Jack blinked, shock gripping his chest, as silence engulfed the scene. It was Marcus, standing tall but trembling, his hands shaking, stained red. "I didn't want this," he gasped, eyes wild with terror. With disbelief washing over him, Jack couldn't look away from the sight. The man had been a hero one moment, and now he looked lost, a shadow of his former self. "You shot him," Jack exclaimed, feeling his heart drop into his stomach, pieces of his trust smashing on the concrete like glass. "No, I was protecting," Marcus stammered, but the weight of what had just happened hit them like a tidal wave. There was no turning back. Footsteps echoed behind them, the sound harsh and relentless. Sirens wailed in the distance, a growing storm threatening to consume them. Jack's breath quickened. He couldn't take his eyes off the man lying on the ground. What had he just witnessed? Liam's eyes were wide, face pale, shock settling in like a dark cloud. "Dad, what's going on?" he whispered, the innocence in his voice shattering Jack's heart. Vincent stepped back, a wicked grin creeping back across his face. Well, looks like your little family is more tangled than I thought, Jack. What truths have you unlocked tonight?" In that moment, everything shifted, a jagged edge slicing across their lives. Shadows deepened, masks fell away, and the revelation hit like a freight train. Jack felt the full weight of Marcus's past crash down on him. Questions flooding his mind, blurring the lines between villain and hero. As the sirens grew louder, Jack's mind raced. Were they really safe? Who was Marcus? What path had they just stepped into, and how deep did this rabbit hole go? Marie squeezed Jack's arm, eyes pleading, but all he could see was the chaos ahead, the uncertainty shaking the very foundation of their lives. What lay beneath their surface? What truths would reveal themselves when the dust settled? Jack's hands trembled, and a chill ran up his spine. Underneath his worry, the beautiful gleam of the gala invitation felt like a noose rather than a door to opportunity. Shadows danced around them as Liam stood transfixed, absorbing Marcus's words that could dismantle everything Jack had built. But just as Jack opened his mouth to speak, intent on addressing the strangeness of this encounter, chaos erupted from the alley. A woman's voice rose above the murmurs, sharp and broken. "Marcus, you can't hide from this!" The accusation twisted in the air, heavy and calculated. Jack's gaze shot to the source of the commotion. A tall figure, hair unkempt and eyes blazing with fury, emerged. It was a woman, gaunt yet fierce, her voice a trembling mix of anger and desperation. "You think you can just stroll back into town acting like you're some sage? You're a fraud. You didn't change. You just lost everything." Marcus flinched, his tough exterior cracking just a bit. There was a flicker of recognition in his eyes, a spark igniting the tension further. "Gotta, please! Don't please me! You left us! You abandoned everything!" Tears streamed down her cheeks, mingling with the dirt on her face. Jack watched, his heart rate racing. What was happening? Liam glanced between them, confusion written across his youthful features. "What do you mean, abandoned?" he asked, his voice shaking slightly, caught between loyalty to the man who seemed to be teaching him about truth and the woman who looked like she was clawing her way back from the brink. Marcus broke eye contact, gazing at the ground. "I made choices, wrong choices. I thought it was better for everyone." "No, you thought it was better for you," Kara spat, eyes fierce. "While we struggled, her voice wavered, pain cracking through her fury. "While I raised our son alone." Jack's heart sank. the pieces slamming into disarray within his mind. Their son? This homeless man, with the torn clothes and wild beard, had a child? And was that child, was he Liam's age? Panic surged through Jack. His instincts screamed for him to intervene, to drag Liam inside and cut ties with this chaos before it swallowed them whole. But Liam stood firm. "You have a son?" he muttered to Marcus, awe and disbelief tangled in his voice. Kara's breath hitched, her eyes darting from Marcus to Liam. "He's your brother." That sudden outburst hit like a punch to the gut. Jack felt the world tilt beneath him. Marcus was not just some stranger spouting wisdom about loneliness and life. He was connected to them, tangled in their very existence in a way Jack had never imagined. Liam turned to Jack, eyes wide, searching for answers that Jack didn't have. "Dad, is this true?" Caught in the eye of a hurricane, Jack struggled to regain his footing. Suddenly, this wasn't just about a man and his son. It was about family ties, hidden truths, and a life he couldn't control. Jack felt the walls closing in as the voices blurred into a cacophony of disbelief. Marcus stepped forward, desperation etched into his features. "I came back to protect him, to warn you both." "Protect from what?" Jack challenged, though his voice trembled now, the bravado ebbing with every second. Before Marcus could answer, a siren blared in the distance. The sound was ominous, a herald of trouble. Jack's head spun, grappling with the whirlwind of revelations. What had Marcus pulled them into? As shadows deepened around them, the truth loomed larger than life. Jack stood paralyzed on the brink of chaos, wondering how much more there was beneath the surface, and what it might cost him to find out. The night air was thick with tension as Jack stood there at the door, grappling with Marcus's invitation. A billion thoughts swirled in his mind. Was he really going to let this man into his life? But before he could respond, a crash shattered the stillness. A loud bang came from the street, making Jack jump. The sound echoed, and almost instantly, screams filled the air. Jack turned just in time to see a car careening down the street, tires screeching out of control. It slammed into the nearby parked cars, metal crunching and glass shattering. People scattered, their faces twisted in shock. "Liam!" Jack bellowed, heart pounding. He sprinted toward the chaos, but Marcus held him back with a fierce grip on his arm. "Wait!" Marcus shouted, eyes wide, scanning the scene. In that moment, everything fell still. Jack's gaze locked onto Liam, who stood frozen, fear visible on his face, caught between the wreckage and the man he was speaking to. Then, another unforeseen twist. A figure emerged from the car wreck, crawling out with a furious energy. It was a young woman, disheveled but unmistakably fierce. She had one look in her eyes that sent Jack reeling. Recognition. Just as she stood, her gaze turned toward Marcus, and in that instant, the world seemed to collapse. "Marcus!" the woman screamed, voice filled with raw emotion. "How could you? After everything you did?" Jack's heart raced. Who was this woman? What did she mean by everything you did? The piercing intensity of her words held a truth that felt like a tidal wave crashing over him. Liam's expression switched from confusion to horror. "Dad, who is she? What's going on?" Jack stood frozen, feeling the weight of something dark and hidden. The gala, the homeless man, the invitation. Was there something far more sinister beneath? The crowd buzzed with confusion, whispers ripping through the air. Faces turned toward the woman and Marcus. Some screamed accusations, while others gasped in shock. "Leave me alone, Maya!" Marcus shouted back, his tone a desperate plea. "You know I didn't want this. But before he could finish his thought, she charged forward, fury burning in her eyes. She pointed at Marcus, voice trembling. "You ruined me! You didn't just lose your money!" Gasps echoed from the onlookers. A mix of pity and anger filled the air, surrounding Jack. He didn't understand. Was Marcus really this person? Jack clenched his fists, the weight of his decision pressing down on him. There was an undeniable connection here, as if the air itself crackled with the truth he hadn't wanted to face for so long. "Get back!" one officer barked, pushing through the crowd as chaos ensued. Jack felt his breath hitch. What was happening? What other secrets lurked beneath the surface, just waiting to be exposed? As sirens blared and the crowd dispersed, Jack remained where he stood, struck between fear for his son and fascination with the unfolding drama. What had he stumbled into, and how far was he willing to go to uncover the truth of Marcus and the woman whose desperate cries echoed in the still night? The questions hung heavy, leaving Jack on a precipice, ready to leap into the unknown. Jack lingered, the ornate invitation card slipping from his fingers, floating down to the porch like a feather. The air thickened, tension coiling tighter around them. Liam stood firm, eyes flickering between his father and Marcus, waiting for Jack's next move. "Dad, just listen," Liam urged, his voice steady. "He's lived it, all of it." Marcus stepped forward, a faint smile breaking through the grime. "I could show you the truth behind wealth, Jack. What it does to the soul. I went broke and found freedom. But you're still trapped." Jack's world spun. He wanted to protect his son from this man, from the possibility that wealth could mean a prison, not a palace. But as he opened his mouth to speak, a sudden crash echoed from the street. They turned as a car careened onto the sidewalk, tires screeching against asphalt. Jack's heart raced. The vehicle slammed to a stop, and a shadowy figure hurled themselves out, panting, eyes wild. "Jack, you have to come! It's—" What he saw next sent shivers down Jack's spine. The figure was a reporter, Rebecca, known for her relentless pursuit of scandal. Her eyes were wide with panic, hair tangled, as if she'd run straight from a war zone. "Jack, it's about Marcus!" she yelled, breathless. "He's not who you think he is." Marcus's expression froze, the confidence he exhibited drained, like color fading from an old photograph. Jack took a step back, uncertainty rising in his throat. "What do you mean?" Jack asked slowly, dread pooling in his gut. "A hidden scandal. It's about his past, his family. You need to see this." She fumbled through her bag, producing an envelope, edges frayed and marked. Jack opened it, his hands shaking slightly, as he glimpsed black and white photographs. A lavish mansion. Smiling faces in front of cars bearing expensive logos. Then his heart sank further, the headline glaring under a bold name. Mysterious billionaire's secret life exposed. The article detailed a web of deceit, a hidden family, embezzlement, ties to criminal undertakings. Jack felt the ground shift beneath him. The looming shadow of Marcus, recently spoken of, began to warp. "Wait! This can't be right!" Marcus shouted, horror painting his features. "I didn't know! What did you do?" Jack shouted, rage and fear blending into one. Liam stepped between them, voice trembling with unsteady resolve. "He's trying to change, don't you see?" "We can't judge someone by their past, Dad." Jack was torn, his world colliding in the night, his idyllic facade crumbling in an instant. The whispers of reporters, the betrayal threaded through wealth, and now this scandal threatening both his and Liam's future. Rebecca continued, urgency in her voice. "Jack, this isn't just a story. It's your son's life on the line. If they connect him to Marcus..." Suddenly, a siren shrieked in the distance, getting closer. Jack's mind raced. The bubbling conflict of wanting to shield Liam and the gnawing realization of betrayal clawed at him. He stood there, frame tense, heart pounding like thunder. The streetlights flickered, casting eerie shadows around them. Uncertainty hanging heavy in the air. Which truth mattered most now? Could Marcus be the key to unraveling Jack's own chains? Or was the invitation just a way to drag them deeper into a scandal that could destroy them all? The echo of sirens grew louder, drowning out their breaths. The night hadn't even begun to reveal its darkest secrets. The sirens wailed, echoing through the chaos, but it all felt distant. Jack stood on the precipice of the night, holding the incriminating envelope like it weighed a ton. The photographs blurred in front of him, reality warping as he processed the implications. "Jack, you need to focus," Rebecca shouted, urgency in her voice. But Jack's world was spinning. He glanced at Marcus, who was racked with guilt, and then back at Liam, whose wide eyes reflected the panic swirling around them. "Who are you really?" Jack demanded, his voice shaking. "What do you want with my family?" Just then, a group of officers burst onto the scene, pushing through the crowd. "Stand back! Everyone, back!" they shouted, their faces hard, eyes scanning for trouble. Jack felt Liam grab his arm, squeezing tight. "Dad, it's too dangerous!" Liam's voice was edged with fear, grounding him amidst the turmoil. But just as Jack opened his mouth to calm his son, a low rumble swallowed the night. From the shadows, a figure emerged, staggering through the haze. It was a man, disheveled, a ghost from the past. Jack's heart seized as he recognized him. It was Derek, Marcus's old associate, someone everyone thought had disappeared. "Jack!" Derek's voice rang out, hoarse and frantic. The crowd parted like waves, revealing him in the flickering lights. "Listen, you don't understand. Marcus is..." The moment hung in the air, heavy with tremors of truth. Jack felt the walls closing in. "Get away from him," he barked, fear and aggression battling within him. But Derek pressed forward, desperation in his eyes. "No, you have to hear what I have to say. He's in danger." Vincent, still lingering in the chaos, chuckled darkly. From what? His own scandal? Or maybe it's his past catching up. Marcus stepped forward, resentment flashing across his face. "Shut up, Vincent. You don't know what you're talking about. I know more than you think," Vincent retorted. "And so does everyone else. Just wait until this hits the news." Jack felt a pulse of dread, the edges of his world fraying. "What's he talking about?" he whispered, turning to Marcus. And then, with a sudden rush, the night exploded. A gunshot rang out, loud and jarring. People screamed, scattering like leaves in the wind. Jack barely had time to react. He pushed Liam down, covering him as chaos erupted around them. Marcus stumbled, hand clutching his side, staggering back as blood seeped through his fingers. Jack's heart dropped into his stomach. "No, Marcus!" he cried, moving instinctively towards him. But Derek, wide-eyed, shouted, "He's not the one you think he is! He has a brother you've never met!" With that shocking reveal, everything shifted. Jack's mind raced, heart pounding. "What do you mean?" The realization hit him like a punch. "I'm his brother," Derek confessed, breathless, the weight of his words hanging in the air. "And we're not the only ones with secrets." Before Jack could process this new, tangled thread, another gunshot fired, sending shockwaves through the crowd. People screamed, the chaos amplifying. And just like that, everything plunged into darkness. Jack looked around, despair rapidly swallowing the last vestiges of control. "Liam!" he cried, but the noise drowned out his voice. As the night swallowed them whole, Jack realized the person he thought he understood was just the tip of the iceberg. Now the questions loomed larger. Who really was Marcus, and how far back did this twisted connection go? With the sirens still blaring, Jack knew this was just the beginning, and the real nightmare was only about to unfold. The sirens were deafening, blending into a chaotic symphony around them. Jack stood frozen, the photograph crumpling in his fist, his heart pounding like a drum in his chest. The moments felt like a heavy fog, murky and thick, as the reality of Derek's words spun in loops in his mind. "Marcus is your brother." It echoed over and over, like an unstoppable wave crashing against the shore. Jack tried to process that truth, desperate to find meaning, to stitch together the shattered pieces of their lives. But then, a crack, sharp and sudden, shattered through the air like glass breaking. Jack's adrenaline surged as another figure appeared, cloaked in darkness. It surged forward, arms spread wide. "Wait!" A voice rang out, familiar yet infused with an unsettling edge. Everyone turned, the chaos stalling for a heartbeat. A woman emerged from the shadows, hair wild and eyes blazing. It was Marie. She looked frantic, fear etched deep onto her face. "Jack, this isn't what it seems. But before she could finish, she stumbled, revealing something lurking behind her like a specter. A small child, dirt-streaked and trembling, clung to her leg. He looked up with wide, haunted eyes. Jack blinked, heart dropping. "Mommy, I'm scared," the boy cried out, voice echoing in the stillness. Jack's mind raced as Derek's words collided with this new revelation. Who is this?" he stammered, confusion wrapping around him like a shroud. "His name is Noah," Marie said, breathless and frantic. "Jack, he's ours. I thought we lost him." Time seemed to stand still. The announcement crashed over Jack like an icy wave, chills racing down his spine. Their son? But they had... No, that can't be! Jack's voice trembled. I would have known. The crowd erupted, murmurs swirling like wind spirits, tugging at loose threads. Confusion morphed into disbelief, gasps rippling through onlookers. Yes, you were gone! You were never around! Marie pleaded, tears streaming down her cheeks. I tried to tell you. I thought you didn't want him. Jack felt his heart drop, a gaping hole opening as reality shattered around him. Memories flashed behind his eyes. The arguments, the guilt, the pain of separation. Like disconnected puzzle pieces struggling to find their place. And then there was Liam, his dear, innocent son, caught in between this maelstrom. Jack's heart ached as he turned to his boy, who stood wide-eyed, struggling to absorb every fragment. Liam, it's okay. I didn't know. But before he could say more, the air shifted again. A low rumble thrummed in the background. The cops that had rushed in before shifted, their radios crackling with urgency. They began pointing toward the alley. Get back! One officer shouted, his voice taut with authority. Panic rippled through the crowd, people shuffling, eyes darting. Then, as if summoned by the chaos, a figure stepped from the shadows. A tall man, tattoos snaking up his forearms, wild-eyed and dangerous. Jack felt his breath hitch, recognizing the threat immediately. It was Vincent. Looks like the party's getting wilder, he sneered, a twisted grin stretching his lips. He stepped forward, eyes glinting with malicious intent, igniting the air with intimidation. Get lost, Vincent. Marcus barked, desperation fueling his voice. But Vincent's gaze seemed to dance with wicked glee. Why would I? This is too entertaining and profitable. He smiled, as if revealing a deep, dark secret. Then came a piercing sound. A gunshot echoed again. Gasps erupted as chaos spiraled. Jack instinctively dove towards Marie and the boy, arms flinging around them protectively as the crowd recoiled. But in that moment, something shifted deep in Jack's gut. Shadows swirling around him, the truth threatened to collapse around him like a fragile house of cards. What lay beneath this surface? What were they all hiding? As sirens blazed and Vincent smirked like a puppet master, enveloped in darkness, one thing became painfully clear. The truth was still waiting. It had just scratched the surface, and he was not prepared for the depths that lay beneath. The chaos unfolded in flares of panic. Jack squeezed Marie and the child, Noah, tighter, his heartbeat a frantic drum in his ears. Vincent prowled closer, reveling in the fear he ignited. This is just the beginning. He taunted, eyes glinting with malice. You really think you can escape what's coming? A pair of officers stepped forward, guns drawn, but the air was electric with emotion. Jack shot a glance at Marcus, who stood trembling, sweat bead forming on his brow. Why didn't you tell us everything? Jack's voice cracked with desperation. You dragged us in without a clue. Believe me, I wanted to protect you, Marcus replied, his voice strained. But his haunted eyes reflected the truth. Nothing would be the same. "No!" screamed Maya, stepping forward amidst the din, her heart heavy with rage. "You owe everyone a reckoning, Marcus. You need to confront your past before it destroys the future." Tension simmered, thick like fog. Sirens wailed closer, slicing through the noise. The crowd's murmurs thrummed uneasily. Jack felt Liam pull close, trembling, confused. "Dad, what's happening?" Jack wanted to comfort his son, to shield him from all the darkness swirling around them. But there was no crystal ball, no answers in sight, just shadows and the thunderstorm of reality crashing on their heads. As the officers cornered Vincent, shouting commands, Jack noticed Derek shifting nervously. The truth hung in the air between them, palpable. "I should have said something earlier," Derek murmured. "We've all got tangled roots, and they don't wash away easily." Suddenly, a crash erupted from behind. A parked car was rammed, screeching tires and clashing metal. A group of onlookers screamed, diving for cover. Jack's chest tightened. Fear spilled through him like wildfire. "Move!" an officer shouted, urgency cutting through the chaos. Jack stumbled, clutching Noah, protecting him from the frightening world. The innocence in the boy's eyes pierced through the dark, igniting a flicker of determination deep within. Then Jack turned to Marcus, his voice a fierce whisper. "You need to step up and face this. Your family needs you. My family needs you." "Right." Marcus breathed, nodding as if awakening from a trance. He stepped forward, voice resonating with newfound courage. "You all deserve the truth. I know it won't fix everything, but I'll take responsibility." As he spoke, the crowd held its breath. Jack felt the weight of the world shift, the tension start to unravel slowly. Hope sparked in the darkest corners. More sirens closed in, illuminating the night. Officers moved in on Vincent, while others rushed to control the scene. Jack felt the air change, the darkness receding. Possibilities opened before them. "Jack," Marie ventured, a glimmer of something hopeful in her eyes. "Maybe we can rebuild, if we confront our pasts together." Jack's heart swelled. "Let's do it, together." And just like that, it felt like the dawn breaking through the longest night. They moved forward, united against the tumultuous shadows, the fear still simmering beneath the surface, but hope igniting a path. Their stories were still tangled, still in need of untangling. As the crowd began to disperse, awe washing over the remnants of chaos, Jack reached for Liam's hand. "Come on," he said, squeezing it tightly. "Let's find our truth." But as they stepped away from the chaos, the wind whispered secrets of what lay ahead. The journey had just begun, uncertainties looming large and questions echoing in the night. What other truths would surface? What hidden realities still lay beneath the fragile peace they sought? You have to subscribe now! Don't wait even a second longer. Smash that like button now to fuel the algorithm and get ready for the upcoming exclusive stories. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see it. This is the moment to show your support.